So I think, that's a very important point. And I would just want to vacate from this American system. And I also know that you also work for lots of foreign politicians in Zimbabwe, in Nigeria, in the Tony Blair's campaign, and Italy. So I found one example really exciting. You actually work for a candidate in Zimbabwe, and you also encountered some problem with the incumbent Mugabe.
Yeah.
And it was perceived by many people as a dictator.
Yeah.
But interesting thing is, last year in China, we have an alternative Nobel Peace Prize in China called Confucius Prize. And 2015's prize was supposed to be given to Mugabe. And lots of Chinese netizens went wild and thought that was unbelievable. So what was the prize about? And something about the prize, it was given to different people. Some of them really good guys like Kofi Annan, you know, but also given to some very controversial person like Vladimir Putin, Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
So I just want to know a little bit about your experience in helping those foreign politicians in certain countries that don't have very mature democracy or just dictatorial.
Look, I mean, excuse me, it's tough because the government or the ruling party can usually steal the election, or has other ways of controlling the vote. So it's. I can't tell you how many times I've won the election and then had, like, you know, the government announced that they won, and
the rigging,
and it's rigged, you know. So
so do you think it's the problem of the presidentialism? Because the presidentialism has the built-in weakness that the first elected president would likely to rig the system and forbid the next person to get into the top and be the next president, because they have this incentive to rig the system. So wouldn't the parliamentary system be more viable, where the president has to get a confidence vote from the parliament? So would that be a better alternative?
I mean, they just rig the system to make sure their party wins the parliament. You know, I mean, I don't know that it's corruption. It's what, you know,
corruption.
It's corruption and people having the mirage of an election. They think they're having an election. They went and voted, but you know, and they lost. You know, and they walk away going, "Gosh, I guess all my friends voted for the dictator." You know, and I think you know, even deep down, they all know, no, not all my friends voted for the dictator, but you know, it's like there's a powerlessness, and you know, we beat Mugabe, but then he said we didn't beat him. Well, he actually said we did, and then he
rigged the electoral result.
No, we won.
You won,
and he had to admit we won.
Yeah.
And then he said, but we have to have a runoff.
Okay. So that's why he actually won in the end.
No, in the end, and then he killed everybody. There was never a second election. He during the new campaign.
So what's supposed to be just the result should be that the politician you actually work for should be the president, but Mugabe announced that there should be a runoff. There should be a second round of election.
Yeah, and the international community thought, gosh, it's so cool that he's admitting that he lost. That's such a big step for democracy.
So it's just like...
So let's have if he wants a runoff,
strategy.
Let's have a runoff. Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, it's tactics.
Yeah.
And also you put some pressure to Mugabe because he denied the entrance of a person, Mr. Bennett. So what was that about? So what kind of international support you got from that moment?
What happened was the international community finally did step in and say, look, there's going to be a unity government. Mugabe, you're going to be president. Shangarai, my guy, you're going to be prime minister. And each of you will get 4 members of the cabinet, 4 ministers of the cabinet. We're going to be a unity. You two will rule together.
So that's very bizarre format of government.
Right. So when Mugabe's 4 came to be, they all 8 come to be sworn in. Mugabe swears his 4 in and arrests Shangarai's 4 and puts them in prison.
Yeah.
So Roy Bennett, the agricultural minister, is in jail.
Yeah.
Mugabe's ministers are in the minister's office,
Mm.
and so I got, at the time I went to MSNBC.
Mm.
David Schuster, who started I think he had a show called 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue was the name of the show.
Yeah.
And every day he would start the show with, today Roy Bennett remains in Mugabe's prison. It's day 4, and we will not stop talking about this until he's free. And, day 58, it's 62 days,
Wow.
and in the meantime, getting people to protest and things like that, and put pressure on Mugabe, and finally they announced that he was setting Roy Bennett free.
Yeah.
There's video of it on the internet, I think.
So you had lots of international experience campaigning. So do you think that, a big question, can poor countries afford democracy? It's a very abstract question, but do you have any...
No, they can afford democracy. What they can't afford is corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, no one's figured out a system of government that's not corrupt.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're a dictator or you were elected. You can be you can decide, I want a little bit of that money from that mine for me, or I want some of the...
So it has to do with the
me.
system of accountability.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no... It's like Iraq.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Iraq, the U.S. government goes in, and we decide to give the gift of democracy after we take the country and take Saddam out. So, okay, we do it. We give them democracy. Okay, the Shia are 68% of this country. They've never had democracy. No one has had democracy. So if you have 68% who hate the 32, the Sunni, Shia Sunni, 68 Shia, and you're going to let them have democracy, right? They're going to vote to put themselves in charge.
Yeah.
Then what are they going to do, right? I mean, what are the laws? How do the law, right? Now, here in the United States, after 200 years, we have, and it was in our Constitution, we have a Supreme Court.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court protects those the minorities.
Yeah.
We never did any of that. We just went, here, democracy.
Yeah.
And it's a disaster, right? Because that's why Iraq fell again.
Yeah.
Not because of all this stuff, but what I'm saying is what you can't, those institutions all have to be there.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's what I mean. The accountability, the protections, the rights, the all of it has to, and the institutions to enforce them.
Yeah.
All have to be in place. Otherwise, it's whether he's a dictator or or elected, that the party in charge is gonna. I'm not saying all parties in charge, but I'm saying it's way, particularly in a poor country.
Yeah.
One of the things I realized in Iraq was when you've got 30 or 40, when almost everybody after the war is unemployed, everybody.
Yeah.
And the only people that are being paid are the police or the military of Iraq.
Yeah.
The new ones that you're training.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy, he's a cop, or he's in the Iraqi army. He's the only one in his entire family who's being paid. That's it. His brother is unemployed. His sister-in-law, who married his other brother over there, unemployed.
Yeah.
Everybody's unemployed. The one with his cousin with 3 kids, unemployed.
Yeah.
Okay, he's at a checkpoint. You want to come through the checkpoint? Give me money.
Yeah.
And he's not a bad person who's corrupt because he wants to. No.
Yeah.
His brother isn't eating. his cousin with the 3 kids.
Yeah.
The 3 kids will starve to death.
Yeah.
He is the only one out of maybe 40 relatives that could provide. What's that going to make? Cause corruption in a poor country. So now, put that up to, go up the chain to the commander of that police unit. I mean, it all starts. So it's a systemic problem.
Yeah, it actually resonated with my experience. I was in lots of Uber, and I talked with Uber driver, and one of them come from Darfur. The problem is they had a very dictatorial government, even though they have the election, but it was rigged. So she just paid some bribe to the border patrol, and the government wants those border control to control this flow of immigration, but she paid the bribes, and she said that the money was equivalent to $20. It was a lot for a Sudanese, but she managed to go to Egypt first and then flew to the United States as a refugee. So I think it has to do with state building. The government is not functioning. It cannot even control its border patrol. And also, the accountability system, there should be less corruption and also rule of law.
And that's what I'm saying. So you don't have any of those things. And like I said, so even if you meant well when you got in, your party, you're a poor country, you just got into power. Guess what? For the first time, you're the one who decides who has job. Goes to, and then you're off in the corrupt world because there's no protections, there's no law, there's no accountability, there's no transparency. And you're the ones deciding if there's transparency or not, because there is no institutions that have been, there's no Supreme Court, or what we in the United States or even your institution. That's what I'm saying. You at least most functioning countries, and we can get into human rights and other problems and in all of them. But what I'm saying is, most countries, what the law is, what's the institution, if is there transparency or not. And in poor countries, particularly where there were no institutions, then it's a free game to grab and take. And like I said, that guy in the checkpoint, he's not doing it because he was taught to be a corrupt. No, he's doing it because it's the only way his family will survive.
So one last question.
Sure.
So going back to the United States, so would Hillary win the primary and become the nominee for the Democratic Party? We just heard from lots of news that Michael Bloomberg is considering the run as a third candidate.
He won't run if she runs. If she wins, he'll run, I think, if she doesn't, if Bernie, if it's something like that. If it's like Bernie and Trump, he's going to go. But if it's Hillary, he won't.
Okay, great.
And I pretty, I'm not sure she's going to lose Iowa. We'll see. But, I know everybody's... He's going to win Iowa. We'll see.
But she's still in need in Iowa from the Huffington Post poll. It's like 2% or 3%. So just a few days away.
We'll know soon enough. But I think she wins.
Okay, thank you so much.
Cool. Sure. Great. Thank you. Thank you. It's good talking to you.
Good talking to you.